Hi everyone, so today I'm going to do another episode of my cast member series. I don't know why I keep doing this with my hands. What did I say that I was going to talk about last week? Oh yeah, so I'm going to talk about my interactions with other cast members in my role and other cast members as a guest, because I'm sure we all have some interesting stories about dealing with cast members, because some of them are nice. Some of them not so nice. So I'm going to start off with talking about other cast members in my role. So if anyone has done the college program or anything like that, just imagine, or if you've worked in a job that's had temporary staff, or the best way I can describe it is like in retail, Christmas temps. So imagine we're like all the Christmas temps that are quite young, no, we're not going to be there for a very long period of time, and you're full-time or you're part-time and this is your job and this is your life, and these people come in, mess around because they're only doing it for like the season and then they leave. So as you can imagine, sometimes they get really annoyed with us, and because of the amount of college kids that keep coming through. So I'm going to start off with talking about my role. Okay, so I mean, most of us stuck together that were doing the college program, and there was a couple of full-time staff members that were nice and liked us. Most of them didn't. Just because we took their hours, not on purpose, like they wouldn't have given them to them otherwise. They didn't want to do the evening shifts, so we always got the shifts that they didn't want to do. But I just don't think they liked us very much. And a couple of times this was really like obvious to me. So the first example, now I mentioned previously that we have radios. I think I mentioned we have radios. Anyway, so someone in the morning gets a radio, and then like around lunchtime you have to hand it to someone else who's going to be doing the closing shift, because as I said, we were all college kids. We would get given the worst shifts, which were usually the evenings, although as I said before, I really like the evening shifts. And so the full-time staff would have to give us the radio in the afternoon, and your radio for our role is the only way a member of management can contact you, so it's kind of a big deal and it's really important that you get your radio. So there's all of like the little areas where the cafeterias are and things like that, or different zones, they have like a board and a place that you go and you can get your supplies, but you also swap radios. And one day I was like, okay, I need to pick up the radio in the afternoon. So I think it was about 2 o'clock. I was like, right, I have to go back here and get the radio, that's fine. So I went there, sat on the bench, because there's a bench outside, waited for the person to come and hand me the radio. And I must have sat there for about 30 minutes and no one turned up. I was like, okay, I guess I'm not getting the radio then. And then like an hour or two later, one of my managers came and found me, and they're like, we need to talk. I was like, okay, fine. Like, why didn't you pick up your radio earlier? I was like, yeah, I was there and I waited. And they're like, no, I don't even remember the lady's name. Let's just call her Susan. Susan says that she was waiting for you and you didn't turn up. This is unacceptable. I was like, no, I was there. Like, I waited 30 minutes. And they're like, well, Susan said you didn't. So unfortunately, like, here's the radio, but this might be a strike against you sort of thing. And I was like, why? Why did she do that? Now, there was one guy who was from Malta, I think, and he really liked all of us, especially the ones from England. And he was on lunch at the same time as some of the other ones. And apparently Susan was bragging that she didn't give it to me because she wanted to get us fired, because she wanted us all to be gone. Basically, she didn't like that we were there and we were annoying and they didn't like us. So she's like, well, I'll show them. They can get in trouble and I'm not going to get in trouble for it. And the guy from Malta was like, no, like, she waited. I saw her sitting on the bench for you for 20 minutes. You were the one being a bit of a not very nice person here. So he went to the management and basically explained what happened, and I was okay, I didn't get in trouble, but I was like, why do that? Like, that's not very nice, just because you didn't like me. Like, I have nothing against you personally, you just don't like me because I'm not here all the time and I'm a seasonal member, and maybe you don't think I take my job as seriously as you do, which to be fair, I didn't. But still, like, be nice, you're in Disney World. Yeah, so like sometimes in our role we used to have to deal with like sick, basically, or code V as they call it. Oh no, what do they call it now? Oh, it used to be called code V and now it's called a protein spill, which is when someone's sick. And I remember like they would get radioed if they had the radio to be like, someone's been sick, and they wouldn't come for ages. They would like know that one of us would probably pass through the area first. They used to just avoid, they'd be like, the college, whatever, Sarah and Cody, which is one of the guys who works there, and Cody are coming to deal with it. Like, don't worry, they'll deal with it. And then we won't know that we're meant to be dealing with it because they didn't tell us. And you turn up and get in lots of trouble because they're like, where were you? We've had to close this ride for like 10 minutes because you haven't turned up. And I was like, I didn't know I was even meant to be here. And yeah, they just used to try and do everything they could to get you in trouble, which was really annoying. And then they would used to, it's like sometimes you'd have to work the bathroom shifts, and I'll explain that. That's a video for another time. And so you would do that, they would do the morning, and then all you have to do in the evening is just like close the bathrooms down. And they would leave early and not tell you. Like, they would ask to have a half day and not tell you. So you would think that you were doing it with someone else, like there was someone else running it. No, they would have just left and not told you, which is like really annoying. It was just not, there was definitely like a divide. I don't know if this was in all roles. It was definitely in our role, where the full-time staff didn't like the part-time stuff. So another way that kind of you get another way we kind of got discriminated against as like seasonal cast members was not even at work, but like when you're out and about. Now when you go into a restaurant, you get cast member discount. So you show them your cast member ID and you get like 20 or 30% off the meal. And most of the time we didn't show this till near the end of the meal, and you'd have these cast members and they'd be absolutely lovely, like exactly what you expect a Disney cast member to be. They'd be like, oh, you know, hi, like, how are you? Oh, you got the dining plan? And we'd be like, no. And then they would like help you out, and then they're like, okay, is there anything else at the end? And we're like, oh no, but can we get the bill, or the check as they call it? And we've got cast member cards, like, can we get discount? They would always, I don't think there's been maybe 1 or 2 instances where they didn't completely switch their mood, and they were like, you all of a sudden became a hindrance. And I remember particularly one incident when we went to Kona Cafe in the Polynesian, which is for breakfast, which is in a deluxe hotel, and we made the mistake of showing our ID cards a bit earlier than I would usually. So we ordered the food, and then we were like, oh, just so you know, like, you know, she was like, oh my god, let me get you drinks, blah, 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 blah. And we're like, oh, you know, just before you get the food, just so you know, for like, if you're doing the bills and stuff, we have cast member cards with cast members. That was it. She was like the most unhelpful staff member you've ever seen in your life. Like, she wouldn't come and check on our drinks. She didn't ask us how it was. The food was like, she didn't say anything when she put it down. She just throw it down, and like, she took forever to bring our bill. Like, she'd walk past and we'd be like, oh, excuse me, and then she just would completely blank us. Because I don't know if it's because she knew we were cast and didn't want to put as much effort in, or she knew we'd get a discount on the bill, so we wouldn't get as much of a tip. Like, I don't really know, but she was perfect. She was like what you'd expect a Disney cast member to be, until she found out we were fellow cast members, and then it was like, whatever. Like, you know, you're not my problem anymore. Like, you're not a guest. I'm not going to bother you with you. But like, we're still guests. We're still going to that restaurant for the experience, and we're paying. I know we're not paying as much, but we're not at work. We are guests at that point, like, and you should really treat us like that. I think the worst experience I actually had was when I was in my role. So basically, when I was there, the World Cup was going on, where it was England versus USA. So we were all sitting in the break room. There was a few of us and then a few full-time staff, and they had it playing on the TV. So England scored, and one of the guys I was with was like, yeah, like, woo. Obviously everyone else was American, so no one else was cheering them on. And the cast member next to him, I can't remember what role he was in, but he turned to him and he's like, he mentioned something about the World Cup and how it was really disrespectful to cheer England, even though we were English. And then he turned to us both, and there was like one of my friends who was a Mexican cast member that was there, and he's like, and while you're at it, we don't need all of you foreigners coming in here and taking our jobs and telling us what we should be celebrating and what we should be liking, things like that. And it was like, okay. Like, wow. And he was just really like, yeah, all you foreigners come in here and take our jobs and stuff that could be given to people in the area. And I really appreciate that. Like, I understand that, but like, that wasn't our choice. Disney made the decision to let people from other countries come in and work, and we were going home. We weren't there, like, we were only there for the summer. And it just, yeah, it was I mean, this was all stemmed from the World Cup. Like, I don't know if that was directly related, and this guy was really patriotic and he was annoyed that we were cheering for England, but it got really awkward really quickly. And I was like, look, we're still people. Like, even though when I go to America, I don't consider myself like I guess because they speak English and you know the place really well, I don't consider myself a hindrance. I'm a visitor that's paid a lot to be there, even as a staff member, and I'm at that point I was paying taxes, so I was like, hey, I'm here, like I'm doing the same as you, and it was really weird. So there was, and the final experience I kind of want to talk about was like one of my favourite stories, and because I could have got fired, which is funny because it links to like what we were talking about last week, and actually someone mentioned this in the comments, which made me kind of think about it, and I don't think at the time I realised I could get fired for it, but like after reading what they put, now looking back, totally could have got fired for it. So we were in Magic Kingdom, and to get to Magic Kingdom there's 2 stops, so on the bus. So there's the stop that's Magic Kingdom entrance, the TTC, and then you go around the back to the Disney University, and that's where you can get into the Utilidors and get into the like staff entrance that way. Well, back there's a place called Cast Connections, which is where you can buy discounted like off-season stock or stuff that's broken, and you can buy it really, really cheap, or like anything that's not suitable for guests anymore. So we went there, and we were trying to get into Magic Kingdom, and one of my friends would work there, so she's like, well, let's go through the Utilidors and we'll just go up and out an entrance. We kind of got a little bit lost. It's kind of, if you've not been in the Utilidors, to describe it, it's just long corridors. They have like the sewage bits and everything going above you, and there's a line in the middle so that traffic kind of goes each way, and there's little signs that says like Frontierland and like arrows, so you know what corridor to go down. And we got to Fantasyland and we could not work out what door to get out. This one guy was down there and he's like, what are you guys doing down here? We're like, oh, really sorry, like we need to get into the park. We've just done the Cast Connections and we just need to get into to Magic Kingdom now so we can get home and stuff, and we want to go and look around. He's like, oh, I see, okay, are you like are you here on the college program then? Like, and they were like, yeah, we're college program participants. All right then, yeah, come with me, I'll show you a way out. We're like, okay, that's cool. And I don't know, he could have been genuinely doing this to be nice, but looking back, I don't think he was. He told us to go through this door, and the door led to, in Fantasyland, it's the shop underneath Cinderella's castle, and it's in Fantasyland, and it's like the one that's princessy, and it's got all the princess theme in there. Anyway, it came out into there. And one big no-no from Disney is coming out onto this, like, on stage or whatever it is, in an area that you're not meant to be in, and not in the costume of the area. Now, all of a sudden, we come out of this mirrored door, 6 of us in our normal clothes with our Cast Connections bags, cast members, and I remember seeing a manager and some staff just stop what they were doing and look at us being like, what are you doing? Like, who are you, A? And what are you doing coming out of that door in the middle of the day into a shop where there's loads of guests? And I obviously had no idea where we were at that point. I was like, I don't think we should be here. So the group of us just kind of legged it out of the shop and like ran across the path and went into like Pinocchio's, the restaurant, the Pinocchio house place. And I remember being like, I really don't think we were meant to be there, because the look on those cast members' faces when we came out the door looked like A, really shocked, and B, like, what the heck are you doing? That's like a big no-no. And I was like, oh, at the time we laughed it off, like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have gone through that door. And then reading about it now, like, we could have 100% got fired for that. And I was like, did that person do that on purpose, knowing that we might get fired because he knew we were on the college program? Or did he generally not know and he was trying to be helpful and he knew that that was a door to Magic Kingdom? To be fair, most of the doors are to Magic Kingdom because we're in Magic Kingdom. But I don't know. Oh, yes, I'll never know, because I'll never probably see him again. Although if I do see him next to my Magic Kingdom, I'm going to be like, you there? To be fair, I don't remember what he looks like. Were you there? Did you try and get me fired all those years ago? Maybe. I mean, that's pretty much it. There wasn't too many problems with cast members. It's just, I understand where they're coming from. Imagine there's loads of temps in and they're really annoying and they're not doing the job properly and it's your livelihood and they're kind of not messing up for you, but they're not working as hard as probably, well, no, actually we worked really hard, but like you just don't like them that much. So I think there's a few things that maybe they shouldn't have done, but some of it's kind of understandable. Next week I'm going to talk about guests, and actually there's going to be a few episodes on guests because some guests are ridiculous. So I think I'm going to maybe start with a couple of just a few small things about in my role that I've experienced guests do. What happens when you lose a child in Disney World, and what happens when you lose anything in Disney World? What happens when you get really badly injured in one of the theme parks? And what happens when you're abusive to staff? So we're going to go through that, and I just want to say once again thank you to everyone that watches this series. I really appreciate it. At some point in a couple of episodes I think I might do a Q&A, so have an idea now of any questions you'd quite like to ask, because as much as, you know, I feel a great connection to everyone on here, it's very one-sided. Like, we're not having a conversation, so I don't know what you want me to answer. So if we do maybe a Q&A with some questions, maybe a couple depending on how many questions we get in, let's have a think about that. I will ask for them in the comments of maybe next week's video, and then if you have any on Twitter, tweet us those, and I will go through those and see which ones sound awesome to answer. But thank you once again for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!